Welcome to episode 10, Mind Over Matter. Today we'll be talking about a lot of different topics from different guests, such as what's it like being a mental health professional, anxiety and epilepsy, and the balance of diet and nutrition along with mental health. And we also have a special guest, Jonathon Hansler. He's from EastEnders, so stay tuned for that. Thank you. So the first guest on the show, Sara Aston, she'll be talking about anxiety, depression and epilepsy and how it all links together. Hi Sara, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Aww.
So I believe that our topic today with you is going to be anxiety, depression and the coping mechanisms of epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could briefly tell us your story
Okay.
and what you went through.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I will ask questions surrounding that.
Yeah, okay. So I was diagnosed at 24 with epilepsy, and that was after I collapsed on stage. I was touring with a children's theatre company, and I went for endless tests, and then I was eventually diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, and it's just kind of, well, I've just had to deal with it, really. Yeah, there's been ups and downs. It's affected my confidence in performing, but I'm in my 40s now and I'm kind of just owning it now. So, yeah.
Okay. And what coping mechanisms have you found more effective? And how did you overcome this?
It's taken a while.
Yes.
Because whenever going back to the seizure on stage, I was always in panic mode when I would go on stage again, thinking it was going to happen again, which caused my anxiety. And I had to take a break from performing on stage. And then I went into a depression because it felt frustrating that I felt like I was being punished from doing something I really, really loved, and there was something holding me back. And I just took a break from it, and then I was on medication for a while, and then I got vertigo and ended up in hospital. Came off the medication, then went into this spiral of depression again because I felt like nothing was helping me. I didn't know which way to go. And then I got into my 30s and I was experiencing very tiny seizures in front of a computer, the lights, whatever. Went back to my doctor and he prescribed me Lamictal, which is a medication for temporal lobe epilepsy. And because my previous medication caused me vertigo, which had also caused me the anxiety in between the two types of medication.
Yeah.
So.
And what role has your family and friends played a part in this? How have they supported you? Or did you go through it by yourself?
I went through it by myself. I'm very independent. I just dealt with it. It was a case of it was part of me now. So, and it wasn't until I got to past my 40s that I thought, you know what? I've just got to learn how to manage this myself. There's nobody that can really help me apart from myself.
You tend to adjust to it, really.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise you won't do anything. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And how has your experience with healthcare providers been? Have they been supportive, or you've been relying on medication, things like that? So do you know what I mean?
I do. My doctor is great. I have an annual appointment that I go to, and we just chat, see if anything has changed. The last couple of years it hasn't really, just that I'm getting older. Now going through the perimenopause, so that might trigger some things. The doctors, they're there in the background. I know I can go to them, and my medication keeps me keeps me sane.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And can you describe initial signs of depression and anxiety and the signs of when you get like an epileptic
Yeah.
attack?
Yeah. At the moment, recently, I've been having them in my sleep, my epileptic fits, which it sounds really mad, but I'm quite happy for that because I know what's happening and I'm able to calm myself down and then I'm fine. Regarding depression, I feel like I've come out of that black hole. It's something that I left behind. It was something I grew out of. Well, no, that's probably the wrong term because, you know, it's not, you're not weak or anything when you're depressed. It's just how you feel. But I just learned to manage it and just own myself. I think you get, as a woman or, you know, man or woman, you get to an age where you just think, do you know what, this is me, and I've just got to roll with it.
Yes. But how does anxiety and depression coincide with epilepsy?
Good question. So,
like, is it linked together?
With epilepsy?
Yes.
It can be. So,
okay.
So for me, when I first got diagnosed with epilepsy, I did go into a depression because I felt like I couldn't do anything that I loved doing, like performing. And that really frustrated me and I just wanted to hibernate. Since then, as I've said, I kind of learned to manage it, just started to be nice to myself, stopped giving myself a hard time. And regarding the anxiety, that's always going to be there because I'm constantly thinking about the future, always. But I have learned, I'm a comedian as well, so when I go to gigs, I just make sure I enjoy the gigs. And
that's interesting.
And
okay.
And I don't. I go on my own. My husband doesn't come with me. I just make sure the experience I have leading up to the gig and gigging, it's a Sara adventure. I know that sounds really corny.
Yeah.
But it's what gets me through the anxiety. I don't have to worry about anyone worrying about me. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, and shall we have a bit of a talk with data and
statistics.
Yeah. So approximately 1/3 people with epilepsy will experience depression at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't know about the percentage, but I knew it was a thing. I'm on a forum on Facebook for epilepsy, and the amount of people that do get depressed, because epilepsy can knock your confidence. And also people who don't have epilepsy, they're confused. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was having my hair done in a salon, and I mentioned to the lady who was doing my hair that I had epilepsy, and she said, "Oh, well, don't go and have a seizure." And I just thought, I'm not just going to have a seizure. It doesn't work like that. So there's an ignorance, and because there's
people get the wrong impression.
They do. Epilepsy covers a whole spectrum. And that does include depression. And
depression can lead to many things.
Absolutely.
That's how
it's the beginning of so many things.
You know,
it's so true.
And anxiety disorders affect around 20% of individuals with epilepsy, compared to 11% in the general population. That I didn't know either.
Because part of epilepsy can be anxiety as well. Your seizures can be triggered by anxiety. That can cause you an epileptic fit. So it's just a case of just managing your well-being, yourself, and just making sure that you're just being kind to yourself. So
So we've touched on like anxiety, depression, how it coincides with epilepsy, the relationship between all of the three, and is there anything that you want to share or advice or anything that before we wrap up?
I think the only thing I would say, I wish now I'm 45, I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was in my 20s that it's going to be okay, because I feel like I wasted quite a bit of a chunk of my life just worrying about the fact I had epilepsy. It was sort of becoming my thing. And I think to anyone that's recently been diagnosed, just own it. just, you know, we've all got our quirks, and that's how I think of epilepsy.
And it's about living with the challenges of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the world is so modern now, and everyone's open-minded and, well, trying to be. So it can only be, it can only be a strength, I think. You know, it's just adds to your quirks. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Thank
you so
Anastasia.
much.
Thank you.
Well, that was Sara's interview on epilepsy. Thank you for watching. Hello and welcome. So here we have Jonathon Hansler, who is an actor, a writer, a comedian, and a director. He will be talking today on a topic called Hero's Journey. Welcome, Jonathon Hansler, to the show.
Thank you very much.
So he will be talking today on a topic called Hero's Journey.
Yeah.
And he will be explaining
What that means.
what that means.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
it's coined by a guy called Joseph Campbell, who wrote a book about it. And it's the idea that we face a lot of obstacles in our life. And some face them more than most. And I certainly fall into that camp. I'll run it very quickly. I'm currently writing a movie a little bit based on my life, but all fiction. All the characters are fictionalized. So the story is true, but the characters are not. So in other words, it gives you more room to expand on a story. But I've also written a one-man show based on my life called Funny in the Head. And the idea being that, funny means funny, haha, very funny, but what's behind the smile, what's behind the laughter, what's behind that, and often you find with comedians there's a lot of sadness, there's a great deal of, upset, and they sometimes, and how do they get through that? Well, they drink, or they take drugs, or they do all these things, and I did them all. I'm an ex-alcoholic. I'm now 10 and a half years dry, only 10. I gave up on January the 24th, 2014, after doing a meditation session. A Buddhist, I went off and did, Buddhist, sorry, it wasn't Buddhist, it was called Vipassana meditation.
Okay.
And you spend 10 days in complete silence. And you meditate from, I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. You have meals in between, and that
You must have a lot of patience, yeah.
Yes, I've had to learn that. This industry requires so much patience anyway. It's such a difficult one, because it's rather like having a lucky dip. You don't know what you're going to pick. It's like when Forrest Gump, he says, "Well, life's like a box of chocolates. Don't know what you're going to get." And that's kind of a little bit like what it's like in our industry. It really is kind of, you don't know what you're picking. Whether you're going to, one day it's going to be a really bad, a Coca-Cola bottle, or the next day it'll be a black magic or a very nice truffle. It's my comedy side coming out. It's my way of coping.
Yeah, it's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
So, if you could tell us about your story.
Yeah, sure.
So,
well, I was born to a military family which kind of totally didn't suit me. And the funny thing is, as a Buddhist, one of the things you realise is that it's up to you whether you believe this or you don't. But in Buddhism, you kind of believe like you're kind of assigned to a family. It's like you come into this life via you're almost set up. So people say, if you make the decision that you want to go through life completely in one, not coming back, just going through, then you're going to have a tough one. You're going to have a tough one. And so in my one-man show, I have these two kind of angels debating what to do to me. So they decide that I'm going to go to one of the worst boarding schools in Britain, owned by a paedophile. That my father will be a military officer. My mother will be an artist. They're not going to get on. My father will become an alcoholic. So there's all this sort of thing is, all sort of panned out by in my mind. These two angels who are deciding, or spirits are deciding my future. A bit like Christmas Carol, I think. I'm a very huge fan of Charles Dickens. So anyway, I went to a boarding school, sadly owned by a paedophile. He died before anything could happen, but there were so many schools in those days that just literally, there were so many, and even some people that haven't come forward. I've actually appeared on television. I spoke on BBC, I spoke on on ITV News Southeast, because it was set. My boarding school was in Dorset, but I went to another school. So that school was very sexual, and the bullies were actually terrible, because the poor bullies were being abused, and they were wondering why the people who they were bullying were not. So that's why you were bullied, is because you weren't getting what they were getting. But it was all covered up. They didn't talk about it. So all this stuff was going on. So they had this culture of, God, it was horror. And by the time I went to my second school, which was extremely brutal, and that's all covered up. I mean, this is the trouble when you give power to 16-year-olds. You give a 16-year-old power, he's marching around, he thinks he owns the place. What do you know at 16? What do you know? What do you understand at the age of 16? You don't know a damn thing. So this is a ridiculous system. This is a ridiculous system. There's no parents there to tell you anything. No one can, do you know what I mean? It's crazy. And it wasn't like we were a very wealthy family. My father had to get a job. My dad's desire was to send us to the best schools. And that was it, but we didn't have the money to do that. But my father, when he was a boy, was sent to a boarding school, and he was left there on his own when he was 4 years old. And his parents kind of ignored him. And you think to yourself, well, surely he would have learned. But anyway, so his desire was to send me to this school. And the only way I could go there was my father got a job in Qatar, which is a tax-free stay.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was able to fulfill his dreams. It wasn't my dreams. This was not my dream at all. I was having such a good time in the local comprehensive. I was very popular. I had loads of friends there. And I used to love, I was Arsenal. I always played, I was an Arsenal kid. I loved Arsenal.
Yes.
And my mate loved Tottenham, and we kicked the ball around. We were great friends, and it was lovely. But then you see, everything was in colour. I just remember it all in colour, and suddenly it all went to black and white. Everything just went into black and white, and it went to these things where I couldn't remember what happened. Still to this day, I can't remember what happened in that place, And you carry the scars from there because, they're imprinted in you, but you don't realise they are. So you end up going to the next school, but you're already traumatised from the first school, so you're moving on to another school. You go, what the hell's going on here? So and the kids are picking on you because they just can see from your laser eyes, if you're walking around like Mr. Vulnerable, going, hello, I'm Mr. Vulnerable. Look at me. You're going to love me. You're going to bully me to death, because the simple thing is you don't know what's going on. You can't cope. You're using a coping mechanism at an age which is incredibly difficult to do. So you're trying to manage yourself in a world which is unmanageable. Can you imagine? So I was very good at running. I was the first 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to run. Mainly to try and escape, I think. I mean, I tried, So, to not come back, I think was my, But no, it was that was difficult. And then, of course, I decided to go into the entertainment industry because, in a way, it's a wonderful way to hide. Because you can be anything, you can be anyone, you know what I mean?
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very...
Puts a mask on,
It's
easy.
easy to hide in
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and then you drink and that goes, and you end up drinking. I was very disciplined. I wouldn't drink during a show at all, but afterwards I got absolutely pie-eyed. My problem was I wasn't an alcoholic in the sense that I had to have a drink every moment, or I had to pour a drink in the morning. No, I was a social alcoholic in the sense that I would drink and drink and drink and drink until there wasn't a drop left. And at night, what would happen is you'd go to a bar, and the actual table would have loads of drinks on them, right?
Yes.
You did something called minesweeping. You know what minesweeping is?
No, what's...
Well, minesweeping is where you literally take, because you're addicted to alcohol, so you literally take any drink and just knock it back. It didn't matter what it was. Someone might have vomited in the bloody drink. As long as it smelled of alcohol, you'd risk the vomit.
So
I mean, that's how terrible it is,
It can be that terrible.
It can be that terrible.
But
It's a hook.
But what was your cure to stop you to be sober? Like, how did you...
Well, that was
your tips?
How did I do it? Buddhism. Not Buddhism. Sorry, that comes later. I did Vipassana for 10 days. And then after that, I remember going to a film screening of a film I did. And I remember that I had 4 very large glasses of red wine purely to see what would happen, if I had a hangover. And because I'd been in this 10-day sort of trance, if you like. I wanted to be able to sit outside myself and watch what this was doing to me. And I realised that actually I was killing myself. I was poisoning myself to death. I wasn't going to last long on this earth if I was going to carry on that path.
No, exactly.
So that was it. That was the day I decided no more. That was it. No more.
Yeah.
I mean, I was destroying everything. My house was falling to bits. Everything was falling to bits, and I was unaware at that time what it was inside me that was doing this. I mean, the doctors were totally. The NHS were useless. They said to me basically, I thought they had anxiety or depression. No, I had trauma. There's a hugely different thing because it relates to your childhood. Anxiety and depression can come anywhere, in life. They're not. So
it's true. It can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And complex trauma is it's almost like having, if you like shrapnel in the body. So you got you're not quite sure when it's going to come up or when it's not going to come up because you don't know where it is. So it's kind of it's lots of moments from your life which can appear at any moment, but you don't remember them. So it's much harder than PTSD, which is one event, and that was coined after the Vietnam War in 1975 when they decided that, which was shell shock in the First World War, when soldiers would have terrible remembrance of a tank or something blowing up like that, or something horrible like that, and that would be what they coined, and they said that was a particular memory.
Yeah. So what made you go into Buddhism then?
I was at my wit's end.
How were you introduced to it?
Via a card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, via card. I've got some on me. I've got something. I'm not going to shakabuki everybody. I won't do that.
Yeah.
But that's what they call shakabukas when you hand a card out and somebody else joins the Buddhist thing. But it's certainly it's been incredible. I've got to say, and that doing before Buddhism, doing that chanting, the meditation before doing that was amazing as well. It was incredible to do 10 days of that. But Buddhism, I do something called Nichiren Buddhism, which is Tina Turner's Buddhism, Herbie Hancock, Orlando Bloom. I mean, the list goes on, and it's incredible. It's life-saving stuff. It's extraordinary, and it's certainly changed me as a human being. I went through a difficult moment when I left my home. I sold my home in Hackney, and it was a bad move because it was in a bad state, and I could have done it up. And to this day, there's all those regrets. Oh, I could have done this. I could have done that. But then I suddenly realised it's coulda, shoulda, whatever. It's the materialistic path, and that's not the way to go in life. It's not.
No,
it really
exactly.
isn't. Don't take that path, whatever you do. That road leads to misery, folks. No, it is. It is the miserable. It is the miserable way to go. Honestly, in the materialistic world, which is why I say about when you said about EastEnders, I said yes, it's very nice to have done it, but it's a materialistic look at life. It's not nothing.
But it is. I mean, it is. People would think it is huge because EastEnders is UK.
Yeah, I mean it is.
Show.
It is a huge show, definitely.
Everyone
and it's
knows
an
about it.
It's an achievement, certainly. It's
Yeah.
an achievement, but it's not. In the great scheme of things, I prefer to walk in nature or look at.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer to take my shoes off. I'm an old hippie. I prefer to take my shoes and socks off, walk around in the park and feel the energy of electricity through my feet rather than do an episode of EastEnders. I'm sorry, but that's just me.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I do love my work. I do love it. But and what Buddhism does is it gives you grounding. It roots you. One of the things about I don't even like to talk about trauma because I think what we have to remember with mental health is that there is gold in the mental health. You've got to remember there's not just bad, there's also good. I've got a coin at home that says love fate, and that basically means love the good and bad of life. Don't just love the good, always love the bad, because if we can love both good and bad, then we're on a good keel.
Yeah, and it's good you found your path to recovery.
Yes.
Because obviously everyone works differently.
Yeah. I like to.
That might
these
work
days,
for
what
you,
I like
but it
to
might
do.
not work.
No, absolutely. No, and some people that won't do that. That's absolutely up to them. It's just my way of finding things. But one of the interesting things I think is about having come this far in Buddhism is the things on stage where you get a lot of stage fright. Now, with trauma, that can be quite tricky. So I like to know all my lines way in advance. I like to know. So by the time I'm ready to go, I've had a lot of time to practice or get myself there, because it can be quite unnerving if something just catches you off guard. You know what I mean? So you just have to be really, really prepared. I'm very, very prepared and very polished about what I do and very slick, because I gotta be.
Yes.
I gotta be.
So do you have a website where people can view you? Social media
I don't
pages?
have a website.
No social media.
Yeah, I'm all over that. Yeah, annoyingly so actually. Jonathon Hansler. I'm on Facebook as Jonathon Hansler. Jonathan Hansler, Hansler. And interestingly enough, I chose the name Hansler because my great grandfather was the first person to be knighted by Queen Victoria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an amazing story. He was...
Yes.
yeah, and apparently he was very tall and she was very short. And he's the only man in history to have been dubbed twice because she couldn't lift the sword to knight him. Because the other guys, the kings before, whatever it was, they'd all had the big swords, you know. So she was tiny, and he's this guy, and when he kneels down, he's about 6'4". She's trying to lift this battle axe to try and dub him, and she could have cut his head off. So she actually said, "Do you mind going away?" And he called him back again, and had a lighter sword made. And apparently, and I don't know if this is true, it could just be legend, but legend's wonderful in its own way. That's the sword that's used to knight all the peers of the realm.
That's amazing, yes. So anything else you would like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm doing 2 plays at the moment. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm doing a play playing Stalin, which is, it's called Vodka with Stalin, and it's a true story. It's a true story. I don't drink in it anymore. No, that's not the thing. I do that. In fact, Stalin didn't either, but that's another story. Did you know he used to give people water? He used to give everyone vodka, but he'd drink water himself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he didn't trust anyone. Anyway, yeah, so I'm playing Stalin in that, and then that's at the Gatehouse in Highgate from the 15th to the 27th of October. True story, based on a completely true story. And the other play I'm about to do as well, which comes shortly after that, is called Until She Sleeps, which is a brand new play which has got an award-winning off West End winning director directing it. I play a husband whose wife is dying of motor neurons disease, and it's a really moving, very affecting.
Sorry. So when you say plays, do you mean theatres?
Yeah, theatres. Yeah.
That's
So I'm doing two
really
shows. Yeah, one is at the White Bear. This is at the White Bear, and that's from the 5th to the 16th of November, and that's called Until She Sleeps. So yes, 2 shows coming up, and a film after that I'm doing. And that now this is interesting because any horror fans would like to know this. This is I don't know if you've heard of Hammer horror. Have you heard of Hammer?
I haven't heard.
You've heard of Hammer? Hammer one of the biggest. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, some of the greatest horror people. Hammer was like the big thing in the 70s and 80s, and even today it's come back. A massive institution. And their rival was a company called Amicus. Now, Amicus in the 60s were responsible for films like Dr. Terror's House of Horror with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and all sorts of big stars at the time. And now they did their last film 30 years ago, but they've come back and they are doing their first film in 30 years, and I'm in one part of that. So it's quite exciting. I'm doing that in December.
So have a look and, get tickets.
But also remember, guys, if you want to, Nichiren Buddhism is amazing. If you have got any things that issues, whatever you're feeling, have a chant, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. That's what I do for an hour. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you again. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night and good day wherever you are. I'm your host today, Duchess Letitia, also known for the founder of Letitia Antoinette and as artist Madame Kapuscinska. So today on Mind Over Matter, we shall be interviewing the amazing entrepreneur Esther Atkin-George. And as you know, we are discussing about stuff in regards to our mental health, but not just that, in how we see through things and get on with life. So, over to you, Esther. Let us know. For a start, we'll just tap onto what is it you do. We're not going to go into the condition of what it is. I want to find out more about what it is that you do as the creative entrepreneur and mother, and I believe
Yeah.
newly grandmother. I can't believe this. You know, so inspiring. Doesn't matter your age, you go for it. Please tell us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, first of all.
You're welcome.
And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Sara Aston. I wasn't an educator in primary education, but I'm a health, wellness, and beauty consultant.
Health, wellness, and beauty consultant.
Absolutely.
Okay, and how long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing this for a few years, about six years or so, but building myself and just learning more than anything else about the industry,
Yeah.
about the arena, about how to educate people better, and that sort of thing.
I see. I mean, you've also worked on film sets as such, and fashion shows and all this
Absolutely.
and a number of charities. Please let us know about this.
It's so crazy because when I started in this area, this arena, I never realized it was going to open so many doors.
Yeah.
And like you say, I do work with charities. It's part of what we do as a business as well.
Okay.
But I ventured into the arena of behind the scenes, as you were in film and so on,
Yeah.
just through the makeup and everything I was doing. And I don't know how this door's opened, but I ended up loving being behind the scenes, you know, being an extra in something bigger. You know, you don't get seen really, but it's just so much fun and you're learning more than anything else. So that's
like,
kind of how I got in there.
With your experiences and I guess some of the pleasant surprises of the opportunities that have opened up for you, having had a taste of different industries and different skills, where would you say that you now desire and aspire to be and get to?
I want to work more on the behind the scenes. I did a lovely taster day at the Christine Blundell Academy.
Okay.
And it was such an eye-opener because whilst working behind the scenes, you could see what the camera people were doing, you could see what everyone was doing.
Yeah.
And I just found that all fascinating. But also to use my skills within, you know, as a makeup artist, to be able to work behind the scenes and work in that industry, which is something that I'm hoping to do very soon.
Okay.
But stay within the health and wellness, because I think it's so important to teach and educate people about health, about looking after themselves.
And if you don't mind me asking, what is the condition that you have?
I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder after a very difficult year following the passing of both my parents.
I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
so it has been a long journey. It's still a journey. It's always an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm learning how to be my best self.
Yeah.
You know, all the way that I know you can relate to that, about just being your best self and just putting your best foot forward each day.
Yeah.
And just taking the positives out of everything and just not focusing, because there's days that I'm down. There's days where, you know, they're not as good as others, but you persevere if you're doing something you love.
Okay, that's very true indeed. So, like, obviously, with the multitude of your skills and your talents and through the events that have occurred in your life and such loss, could you please let us know as to where we could find out about these? Because, you know, maybe people want to reach out to you. They want maybe some consultancy or maybe even just some guidance in like, yo, you're actually inspiring me in how you're able to get through it. I'm still struggling. It's a lifetime thing. So
Absolutely.
where can we find you with your businesses that you do? And just tell us so.
Like I said, I am very much visual online. I'm on TikTok now. I'm able to do live videos on that.
So what's your TikTok?
It's EEEZ, Ease Motive Mobile, YSC_.
Okay.
And you'll find me on TikTok live doing wellness shows on Wednesdays and doing beauty and skincare on Fridays. You'll also find me on Facebook.
Okay. Where on
Sara Aston.
Okay.
If you look me up, you'll find me and you'll see my EMM logo on my shirts, which will tell you you're the right person.
Yeah.
But Facebook is a great arena because my business is so global and it is stretched across so many countries. You'll be able to reach me quite easily on there. And on a Thursday, I'm usually doing a live show at 12:30 where I teach people how to shop and get paid, how they can, help themselves with their own, everyday spending and so on. And working with charities on there. There's one specific charity I work with. We have our event coming up in 2 weeks with Cancer Africa.
Cancer Africa.
Yeah, Cancer Africa and Chavs London UK. I've been working with them for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I look after the creative team on there.
Amazing.
And so that's kept me quite busy. And that really helps me on the health side as well, focusing on something good and positive.
Meaningful, isn't it?
Exactly. And on Instagram, you can find me at easemotismobile_ Oriaf Queen MUA.
Okay, so can we just get the Instagram, please, once again, loud and clearly dictated?
So it's EEEZ Motive, MOTIVE, mobile, MOBILE, _ and then Oriaf Queen, which is my model name. So it's I forgot to mention I do modeling as well. I totally forgot about that. So it's ORIAF Queen MUA. That's it. It is rather long. Apologies.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your story with us. For any of those that are watching, do you have a message that you would like to leave for people?
Absolutely. I don't look at having a mental health condition, as a hindrance. I use it as something positive to be able to reach other people who are struggling, like you say. And being an educator, what I love to do is teach. I love to teach people how they can also do it. Don't limit yourself. Always, strive above where you are and always keep going. If you never give up on yourself, it's going to come back to you. Yeah. So that's one thing I would always say to people.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I've got to give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. That's so great.
So she's given you the details. You will be able to look online and find a link to some of the different businesses which Esther is connected to. And stay tuned for the next episode on Mind Over Matter. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good day, good evening, and salut, yes. I'm trying to start adding other languages now. So, I am your host today, Duchess Letitia, also founder of Letitia Antoinette, and known as artist Madame Kapuscinska. Now, this is Mind Over Matter, and one of the exciting, fun things that can be is when the professional in psychiatry, especially with the mind, gets to speak directly also with the ones that have a condition as such. And I've recently written a book exploring this, and I can understand through the journey of the relationship with patient and doctor as such. Sometimes the patient can feel that they're not being understood, but then the doctor can also be seen in another light. But then there's also something deeper going on that is only to be understood by that individual. So, with lots of praise and applause, I welcome and bring to the table, to the show, Anna Story. Woohoo! So, Anna, can you let us know, what is your profession?
I'm a psychotherapist in private practice.
Okay. And you are a mother as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How long have you been working as a psychotherapist?
Almost 15 years now.
15 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so now with working within that field, and obviously of the different traits and symptoms, have you ever experienced any of them yourself?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
And through my personal life circumstances and also through my work, because it's sometimes you pick up things of your clients, so you have to be very careful how you put your boundaries,
Yeah.
but still you need to reset sometimes. You
Yeah.
need your own therapy, for example. Yeah.
Okay. And so, obviously, you work with quite a wide range of different areas. What tends to be a preference of area that you enjoy working within your field?
There are lots of very different things, but the thing is that everything is connected. Somebody might come in with work stress, but then of course it connects to his relationships that is also not working. Then we start talking about the childhood and what happened then, and then we go into friendships. So it's all kind of into health. So usually everything is connected. It's not like all your areas of your life are separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, in seeing that and taking into consideration how life generally has changed all over the world, and especially with all these epidemics and natural disasters and whatnot, has there been a pattern at all of particular conditions that are on a rise at all? And if so, what is that?
Well, I think because people feel more isolated, they have less support networks and everything is online, so it's much less social connection. So that gives rise to anxiety, depression, all sorts of conditions that are kind of really on the up now.
Yeah.
And I think it's all down to much less personal time with friends, but everything online, kind of friends, but not really friends. So you feel you are
Yeah.
part of the community, but you're not really there. And that disturbs people, I think unsettles people.
Okay. And so, like, I guess the general orthodox ways at times tends to be that it's medication that they want
Yeah.
people to be on and taking. And quite so often, these patients which have mental health, what they also do need to get access to is the occupation, because it's sometimes in that loss. And so
Yeah.
there's kind of a bit of a gap of the different multidisciplinary departments
it's not
within the health.
connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you was able to like think of how to improve the service as such, what would be something that you think would help? Because it's on the rise, this mental health. You yourself also have your ways of therapy and that. What are those ways that you have used that have helped you?
Well, I think it would be helpful if not just give people tablets. Some people obviously need tablets. But alongside therapy, maybe have more groups, because it's usually therapy is one-to-one, which is great. But group therapy is much more intense, and you also get to meet people. Sometimes you become friends. And also alongside that, have more community groups, kind of bringing people together so they could kind of share hobbies, do stuff together rather than feel isolated. I think that would be really, really helpful.
Okay. And so with you working within private, is that your own private practice, or with somebody under private?
It's just me, and I often get clients through insurance.
Okay then, so how can people find out about you, and what would you say your key specialism is?
Well, people often find me through, as I say, insurance, or I'm on counseling directory, or I'm on TikTok as well, talking a bit about therapy.
Okay, so what private insurers are covered under you for?
It's Bupa.
So you're with Bupa. Are you with any of the others?
Not just with Bupa.
Okay, so Bupa members can access you. So
Yeah.
that is Anna's story. If they're wanting to book with you. Others also just generally to get through to you.
Yeah, they can
Your-
just search. Yeah.
Your TikTok. What is your TikTok name?
It's a story therapist.
Can you spell that for us, please?
So it's A-S-T-O-R-E-Y. Therapist is T-H-E-R-A-P-I-S-T. A story therapist.
Awesome. And is there anything that, because quite often when it comes to therapy and the access and stuff like this, some people take it in the initiative to train in something in a profession so that it's also something that they learn in the tools to be able to help themselves. And quite often when you're into the system now of having the sessions, it's dependent upon what income they've got to be able to afford them or how many sessions that they can. So for those who have crossed your paths and stuff like that, and for those that are yet to cross your path, through whatever they are going through, is there any message that you would like to leave with them today?
Well, I think it's just if you feel that you would like to give therapy a go, just find out more about it. And that's what I'm actually talking about on my podcast. It's about therapy, like what it is, how it can help, is it affordable? Because some people immediately think, oh, it's too expensive, or I can't afford it, or it has to be very long, several years. It doesn't have to be. Can I change therapists? If I don't like my therapist, can I go to another one? Can I try one therapist and another one? Which modality of therapy is best for me? So all these questions, just find out and maybe just try it. Like go see one therapist, go to see another one, and see what works for you.
Okay. So, in my experiences, when it has come that, I think very much as you're in the private industry, I've been in the private sector as well, but within the NHS as such, they tend to be like where people that have certain mental health, we've got mental health conditions and such, some fall under different locality teams and stuff per different boroughs and things like this. And then sometimes a doctor that they see them for maybe a 6-month period, then it's done.
Yeah.
And then usually they gain the history just by what's written. And sometimes there can be errors within that.
Yeah.
So within your skills and obviously your observation and analysis, how accurate do you think you are in identifying what condition it is a person has?
Well, normally I don't obviously work with psychiatric condition because I'm not a psychiatrist. So it's initial first session, talking to the client and asking questions like what are they looking for, what are their goals in therapy. And as I say, usually it's functioning people who go to work, they can they do all sorts of interesting things. So they don't fall under the category of psychiatric patients.
Okay.
So it's different, I guess, from assessing people who have serious condition. And for that, I would need to work with a psychiatrist and refer a person to somewhere else.
So as you say, when you say therapist, because this is one of the things that people, and even I, and you get a lot of confused from your psychologist, your counsellor, psychiatrist, there is the difference. Can you just elaborate on those differences in regards to what you do and if you get that?
Of course, yeah. And psychotherapist and counsellor is basically the same thing. It depends which body you're registered with, but actually it is the same.
Okay.
And psychologist is slightly different training, different, again, registering body. I'm not sure about the details of the training and how psychologists actually work with people and how different it is from what psychotherapists do. And obviously psychiatrist is a completely different thing. It's a medical profession. You have to be a medical doctor. You have to be medically trained to be able to prescribe medications. And it's good if some psychiatrists are trained as therapists as well, because otherwise they don't understand the side of things, and
Yeah.
which is usually a shame. Yeah.
And what do you enjoy doing?
You mean in my work?
No, just in life.
Oh, in life? Well, at the moment I really enjoy my acting classes
Okay.
because I find it's a form of therapy as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of similar techniques, and it's amazing how it clears your mind and you can be a completely different person. And it's great how it just gets you out of yourself.
So now, considering with your acting classes, and obviously some of the different emotions that you learn from the different type of character that you're playing, if you was given the opportunity to act in a film, what type of character would you be?
Well, I guess that would depend on the director. Would they
No,
see me
you got
as-
the choice. What type of character
But
would
if I have it-
Yeah, from what you've been learning of your
Yeah.
acting, what would you be? Who would you
What
choose?
did I enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy playing kind of this powerful, manipulative women, because I don't think that's what I do in life, really, but I think it is in me, maybe.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this type of role.
Okay.
I would go for that.
I think she will make a great baddie. So,
Baddie,
who knows what
Yeah.
may happen in the future? So,
You never know. Yeah.
so please, everybody, it's been amazing having you with us, Anna.
Thank you.
Everybody, do check out the link. You'll find information to her social media pages. She'll be teaching you techniques and stuff and information on how you can find her. So thank you once again, and all the best, Anna.
And thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening. I'm your host today, Duchess Letitia, founder of Letitia Antoinette, also author, Madame Kapuscinska, and music artist. And today we are here at Mind Over Matters. We have a fantastic guest here today with us, and his name is Josiah. But you can also call him Jazz. So we will go with what is preferential for him. How would you like to be called?
Any's fine.
Alright, so we'll go with the flow as to what comes. So Jazz, let us know about you. What do you do?
So, hi everyone, Jazz here. I like to make music, I like to do acting, I like to do a lot of things. Anything creative really, dance, acting, yeah.
Yeah? So when it comes to music, the dance and the acting, what type of music?
I create orchestra, and it's something I've been fond with from when I was I believe a child, and I just like the way the music sounds. I think it's better than a lot of majority of the music we have today, if not all of the music, whether it's strings, brass, choir, woodwinds. It's much better. I prefer it than anything. And I have a viola at home, so not only am I going to write music, I'm also going to make it. No, I'm going to play it as well.
Okay. And do you sing as well?
No.
Okay, so that's a no. Okay. And what about with your dancing? What type of dance is this that you like?
I like fire dancing,
Fire dancing?
as I've actually performed with fire once before. I haven't touched it since. However, I would like to get back into it again. I do like street dance as well. A lot of things that involve flips, cartwheels, breakdancing. all of
I
that
wish
sort
I
of
could do a flip. There's this one move that I learned when I used to do at dance school. And for the street dancer, it's like when you got your foot down, bent slightly, and you got the other leg extended, and then you do a quick little jump, and it can just keep going around. So, yeah. As you can see, my legs are a bit broke up right now, so I won't be doing any of that. So, where can we find out about you?
It's Jazzy82. It'll be shown on the screen.
Okay.
And today I would like to talk about the effects of having a unbalanced diet as well as having a balanced diet and social media consumption. And I would like to start off with that we should all be taking care of ourselves and that we should all be looking where possible how to, to find out what we can eat, what we can't eat, what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, what we should take in, what we shouldn't take in. And these can revolve from what we see in the supermarket to how people approach us, how people talk to us. And yeah, so I like to speak from what I've been going through. And that would be that recently I've been in this phase where it's like I want to cut off junk food. I want to cut off things that don't actually add anything to my nutrition, to how I value myself. And that would mean that certain foods packets of sweets, crisps, all of that sort of stuff, fizzy drinks as well. It's just not for me. I've cut those out, And why I've done that is because, I love myself and I'm kind to myself. Now, if I love myself, would I really be mean to myself by just buying junk? If you love yourself, why would you go and do the things that imply that you don't? If you really take care of yourself, you wouldn't just be, taking in anything. Not saying you don't, but you have to be careful of what you take in. When I do get hungry, normally I just snack on crackers. That's about it. Nothing else. It's not Doritos. It's not M&Ms anymore. Just crackers and butter. And
salted or unsalted?
There's no salt on the crackers. There's
no on the butter. You got salted or unsalted?
I don't know. I don't actually know. But all I know is I'm fighting my crackers. When I wake up in the morning, I normally have toast, bread, or sausages or turkey rashers, and some fruit on the side. Been binging on the fruit recently, but the fruit is healthy. Fruit contains not just minerals, it also contains a healthy sugar that we all need. It's better than what you eat at the store, like the Haribos, the added sugar, the white sugar, because when you eat a fruit, you are eating what has been made for you. God made the fruit for you, that you eat of it and it be healthy for you and be nourishment to you. Whereas what the man-made thing is, as what I've said, you have it, it's like scrolling on TikTok, just getting dopamine boosts and whatnot. It's not going to be fulfilling as when you eat a fruit. Because when you finish a packet of sweets, you're going to want more. And, it's not fulfilling. As well as that, it's not fulfilling. It's like, you want more, you always want more. And when you're scrolling, you want to see more, you want to see more content for you. But when I finish at least 2 fruits, I am full. I am satisfied with what I had. I enjoyed it. So yeah, and I believe that my body has been blessed because, I had what I needed. I had what my body desires.
Yeah.
I'm not going to also be, getting fat on things that will actually just be damaging me in the long term. A lot of the things we eat, like high oils, high amounts of oil, added sugar is damaging to our cells as well. And a lot of the times where we get diseases, you know, problems in our health and our blood, it's because of what we eat, you know. We end up getting fat on these things, and it's like we end up actually. So this is the.
So you're very passionate about this. So how have you tried to get your message and the knowledge that you know out there?
I use TikTok, and my mum knows as well. The people around me, they know that, like, you know, I'm not on this, like, you know, junk food thing. Like, I'm just not on it.
And so you also have a condition, don't you? Or do you?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't. But I have been conditioned to actually take care of myself.
I like that. Cool. Any message that you would like to leave to people that are following your journey?
What I'd say is, as I said before, if you really love yourself, you'd be kind to yourself. Love is kind. You know, as the Bible speaks, that love is kind. So if love is kind, you are indeed kind to yourself and to others too. That also implies what you take in. You know, what you take in as well. Like, if you're eating junk food, you might treat people in a very junky kind of way as well. But if you're eating healthy, you'd know to treat people healthily as well. You know, if you yourself are very nutritious, you'd know that you can give other people nutrition as well. Not in just, you know, not just in talk, but in actions too. That's why we see a lot of Americans with high obesity levels, you know, because a lot of the food they eat is junk, fast food, high in oils, high in fats, and it can lead them to be lazy. But, you know, if they take that away from themselves, it helps them to, you know, to actually realize, you know what, this is not right for me, this food's not good for me, it's not good for my health. I remember I took home a Big Mac from set, a set I was on. I ate it as my dinner. I woke up the next day and I didn't feel good. I felt low I just felt low, like, you know, not sad, but like, you know, no. And I knew it was the problem of the Big Mac. If I had woken up eating something that I had made or something that my mum made, I wouldn't feel like that.
So from what age did you make this life change?
This year. Now.
That's good. So do you think that's been part of a milestone in reaching 21?
We can say it's a milestone, but it's also a continuous thing, you know. You can't just say and not do. You have to keep doing the thing you want to do. So in that case, like, I don't want to eat junk food, but I also want to prevent myself from doing it. If people want to offer me things, I have to say no. Like, if someone wants to go Morley's, like the chicken and chip shop, and I'm coming in there with them, I'm not buying anything from them. Yeah. I will buy like a sandwich, but I'm not buying anything from Morley's because I don't need it. Okay. And neither does the person who's going in there, really.
And so when are you next doing your live on TikTok?
A live? I don't know. I haven't made a live yet. Okay. But I hope to do soon, and I'd hope to actually bring to people's attention the importance of self-care and, you know, what they take in and what they want to take in versus what they need to take in and what they shouldn't take in.
Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you so much. It has been an honour interviewing you, and you have educated me some more too.
Thank you, Duchess.
So, I can say bye to everyone.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Cairns, and I'm here in the Mind Over Matter virtual studio. Today I am with Carmela Ruggiero. Hey Carmela, how are you today?
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me. I'm fine. Thank you.
And it's good to have you here. I would love for you to tell everybody, just give us a quick synopsis about what you do and, a little bit about yourself, if you will.
Yeah, hi. I'm Carmela Ruggiero. I'm founder of Carmela Ruggiero Studios, and I'm a spiritual artist, two times author, and a mentor, helping people to self-heal all of themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's, and I know we'll touch a bit more, on that as we talk a little bit today. But I think it's really interesting the way that you combine, areas of like self-love, self-healing, spirituality, art, writing. There's lots of creativity and stuff going on in there. And I thought it would be really good to talk with you today because, I know a bit about your background and your story, and I know some of the challenge anyway, that you've had around mental health and how it's impacted you. Could you just give us maybe some insight into not just that, but how art itself, has really helped you with kind of working through some of that process?
Yes, during lockdown, I felt very lost, and that was all due about the family issues and my daughter mental health, my own mental health, and it's been a struggle, a big struggle. The only benefit I got out it was we were in spring, and I was using um, my walks, my daily walks in the nature to connect with myself. But that eventually was good, but not good enough to solve all my problems. So what happened was I just start writing on a cup of coffee every morning. I just felt the urge of start writing again. So it all became like a journal. So pages and pages came out, and then from the writing, the walks in the nature, back at home, one day I found those gel pen from my daughter's school box of the old days as I was tidying up. And I just tried them on paper, and all of a sudden, all this lovely drawings start appearing. I felt the urge of picking them up and draw, and then behind the kid's back, I was just drawing non-stop. It became a little bit of an addiction, but it was my go-to place to feel comfortable. I was comforted by the fact there could be that child in me was coming out again, and I thought, oh yeah.
Yes.
But I was hiding everything from them, to be honest, because I felt like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? I'm drawing, I'm coloring in, I'm writing things. And, that's not mom. Mom is supposed to do other roles, isn't it? Mom is supposed to comfort them, not to be my own, my own comfort, my own thing. So it just happened, and this art came out. And as I was networking online with different groups to keep my business going, my mental health going, because I needed some sort of networking, people were usually ask, oh, which project are you working on? And I thought, oh, well, I'm just drawing. And, I was very vague. And they said, oh, show us your project, show us your things. And as I was showing them, they thought, oh, wow, they all were fascinated by those intricate coloring and sort of patterns, and then there was a description as well. I sort of felt like connected with my own energy, and I expressed my feelings, my uncomfortable feeling, my really the urge of expressing somehow it all came a beautiful art and beautiful patterns. And that's how it all started, really. Little I knew that the kids then spotted it. They spotted the power in my sketchbook, and my daughter just flicked through one day, and she goes, "Oh, wow, Mum, who's been doing all of this?" And it was quite, it was quite nice because I sort of felt, oh my God, so it does resonate to them. So it is art to me. It was just, oh my God, that emotion I felt that day, or that happy moment I felt that day. for me, it was just that connection with me. It was the intimacy I started having with myself. The person I didn't know existed inside of me. That's what it felt like. Like somebody new. I was getting to know somebody new, which was me, inside of me, what was inside of me. And that's what it came out. And it was quite funny to a certain extent, but I felt very awkward to do that. Yeah, because it was my inner child coming out. Yes.
Yeah.
And whatever we want to call it, if it was a spiritual, if it was artistic, if it was a writer in me coming out, there was a bit of everything, really. It was all through like a storm. It got me as a storm because, and it felt also like an addiction to a certain extent because everything was coming out, just loads of pads, loads
The doors
of
were
sketches,
opened
loads
and
of, yeah. Yes. And it was like, oh my gosh, what is supposed to be this? And then I would write about them. And then the more I looked at them, the more I fell in love with them. And the more I felt good about it to say, oh God, I didn't know I could draw that good. So it was like a ripple effect within my life. Yes.
Well, I know with your art, within art itself, you've been on a bit of a journey. And, and we've talked a bit about, quite a bit about this actually, around your spirituality and your spiritual art, that you do. And for a long time, one of the sayings and the things we talk about a lot in Later Rebel Club is no more hiding. And that was something that, you hid, a lot in a lot of ways. And it's interesting now how that's no longer the case. And I know even when I talk to you now and I see you now, here in front of me and from before, even it wasn't that you had a lack of confidence, around your ability in art or anything like that, but there's definitely more of a glow, right? There's more of a glow, there's more of a happiness, there's more of like a joy that kind of resonates from you.
Yes.
So why did you feel like you had to hide that spiritual side? And how, again, is kind of suppressing some of those things about ourselves sort of impactful on our mental health or your mental health specifically?
First of all, the hiding was pretty much from a Catholic background for the spiritual side of it. When I realized it wasn't only art, it wasn't only emotion, there was something else more than that. I was feeling things, I was hearing things to an extent that you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm nuts, I'm going crazy. But it wasn't. It was just, I suppose, that connection which, having lost few members of my family as well, I had lost the belonging. I didn't know what I was. I started wondering who I was, and I was hiding my identity as well. So spirituality was pretty much wearing a mask on. I used to call myself an artist, an intuitive artist, but now I know I'm not an intuitive, I'm a spiritual artist. I'm a healer. I self-healed myself with several conditions I have and disabilities. And I want to give people a hope, because spirituality and the connection within you is not only something that you get taught, it's something that you experience yourself. And when you find it, that's where the peace comes in. You feel a peace, and it's very rewarding because you sort of discover a new self and you can go forward. You don't have to wear a mask anymore. I didn't know who I was anymore. Within business meetings, I was the artist, but inside of me, I wasn't that. I was somebody else. I knew I was somebody else. And the fact that my groups, like my church community, I was really scared. I couldn't even connect with them anymore. And it became more like a earthquake between emotion, the family, who I'm going to tell, I'm going to be judged. The judgmental side of it was very, very something I battle a lot. So it's like, as you're trying to surpass your mental health and your emotion and the issues, the family issue. I was going through a divorce, my daughter mental health, my own mental health. And then again, your identity. I didn't have my identity. So the next step was finding my identity.
Yeah.
And now I think I found my identity. Now I'm ready for it. Well, before I was hiding and I didn't know who I was. But also because of the culture, the upbringing, it's been that my experience. So I really want to give hope to people. Then when you start looking inside of you and expressing your own self or your inner child or our own emotions, things will shift because the passion comes out and the energy changes. So you will attract people, then they resonate with you. And together you get lots of opportunities and you become alive again. I wasn't alive. I was like a robot or somebody living by default, a life of, I'm a mom.
I think there's
I'm
so
a
many of us that go through life like that too, like that robot mode.
It was automatic. You just do that by default. You live a life by default. And I thought, I'm hiding. Yeah, I'm a perfect mom. No, I'm not. No one is perfect. There's no book. That's what I used to think. There's no book to tell us, oh yes, go on page 65 and that there is the solution of your problem with the kids. No, no one's going to tell you the solution as a parent. Equally, it's something within us, isn't it? The expression of us, our passion, is that what it makes us view life in a different way and give us the opportunity, because we don't hide. So you become you. We are ourselves. We heal ourselves, and everything is possible. Everything is possible. You start manifesting things, and if you believe it or not, it will happen because you change your energy and you change your way of doing things, and the perspective changes. So everything around you will be different and happier.
And I think that's, and it's obviously not just one small thing. There's lots of things, that you've worked through and that you implement and that you do. And I think that that's important too, to point out, because I think so many times we hear about, oh, just do this. Just, just wish it and it'll happen. Just, repeat it 3 times a day and it'll happen. Just do this affirmation. And it's not like, we still have to take the action. We still have to do the things. But it's more that internal. And I know, again, from doing work with you and stuff before, it's that internal work that you've done, right? To shift those internal paradigms to, like you said, that self-healing, that self-love. And really that's where so much of it, if not all of it, kind of definitely has to start. Totally agree. The last question I wanted to ask you is, because you're good fun, right? I just want to preface that.
I like cracking jokes.
Like this is the longest I've seen you go without cracking a smile, really, or a bit of a laugh. You're extremely passionate, energetic, enthusiastic, and you're very fun. And and I've seen such that change in you too, where there is just so much joy and that like radiant energy, that comes from you now, that just, like you said, it's that vibrational level, right? So I can feel it, you can see it in your face, and all of these things. So why do you think having fun, right? And it's not just, oh, I enjoy what I do and I'm passionate, but enjoying, right? Really, just childish fun almost, right? Like, why is having fun so important to our mental health, do you think?
For mental health, definitely. I do. What do I do when I feel a bit low now? Because it's natural, isn't it? We're all human. I'm not perfect. No one is. Those days which I need a bit of push, I just put my headphone on. The kids are not. I'm having a headphone on. That means I'm dancing. I'm having loud music. I'm having disco music, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever uplifts me. And the kids, they know, no disturb. I go around the house, I do all my chores, I close the thing, I garden, or I draw. Really, I draw. I can sit down and draw. I can do anything with my headphones on. Even the clothes, a wash comes out the washing machine, I get it out with my headphones on. And the
Wow.
kids, they know. But what is fun, and they absolutely crack laughing, is then I also dance. And by putting the headphones on, it's like I'm in my own disco mode. And so I move, I do things, I get energetically higher. Yeah.
Yes.
And it keeps me going. And they laugh because I even sing. I don't know what is coming out of my mouth, but I do sing. And they might be horrible, sort of not in tune. And they laugh. They laugh at me. They look at me like, say, oh, mum has gone nuts. But I always do that quite often, as well as closing the door and saying, I'm meditating. And I'm very close to get a paper and saying, meditation in progress. So they know that's my time. And I might have angelic music on. That's the opposite, because I need to chill. The curtains are closed. And that's my way of having fun. They know I take my time. Equally, I just say to them, oh, look, next year I'm going to be doing this and that. My little dream, daydream or desires. And they said, oh, yeah, mum, you wish. Well, I wish. What do I wish? So that's another part of it. I go to the gym. Having fun is to the gym. There's dance classes. I do Zumba, I do yoga. I do a bit of that, a lot of walking. I'm alive with no matter what. We all have bad days, but the majority of the days I try to keep it fun and adventurous as well. I mean, I'd love to travel the world again, and I'm not young. I don't care, like age is a number. And when the kids say to their mum, they think, my daughter's friends, they think the mum is very cool. They wish they had a mum like me. And I thought, oh, that's an honor. They said, you're so cool because you do so much. And in fact, and then I crack jokes, and then I know them all.
It's those little ways we can have fun too. It doesn't always have to be like a big thing, does it not? Yeah, like you said, the jokes and
It's little things, really, little things, cracking a joke, and people look at you like to say, is she serious? No, you don't be serious. And, sometimes the kids go to me, Mum, do you really mean that? I said, yeah, why not? Why not expressing yourself, even with the sarcasm or with the joke, as long as you don't hurt somebody, that's fine. That's completely fine. Yeah, I try to teach my kids, especially my daughter, when she is, autistic and she's struggling with it, always to say to her, everything's going to happen the way you can see it. If you can visualize it, it will. And it will manifest. So quite often for her, it's like concerts. She wants, that ticket, that concert. Oh, can you help me manifest? I don't have a magic wand, but you can, everybody can. So in a fun way, I say to her, just feel it. Like it happened, like you're going to the concert. Close your eyes and visualize it. That's my main thing. It's nice to close your eyes and be that child and daydream, and dream of what you want to do, desire, wish. And that's what I teach her now, because, she's vulnerable. It's difficult to be a teen at this time, and she absolutely loved it. And then she comes back to me with a laugh and she says, oh, it doesn't work. I've done it. How long you done it for? You close your eyes and visualize. I've done it. And then maybe 3 days later or a week later, oh my God, how did you know? I didn't know. You done the work. Doing the little work. It's not magic. It's just doing the work. But we need to give, we all have opportunity to improve, to shift our own life, our own energy. Obviously, some people need support more than others.
Yeah,
but
and I think that's important too. And
yeah,
that's the one thing I guess I would want to say, and for people to know that, because it took you a long time. This didn't happen overnight, right, with you. And it took me a long time, like 20 some years, before I even started to make any progress down that road. So I wouldn't want anyone to feel like because it doesn't happen immediately, they don't shift things immediately, that it's their fault or they're doing something wrong. it just does take time, unfortunately. And but yes, I think in between, the time that we're trying to, improve our mental health and work through things, finding the fun in things can definitely, lighten the load along the way, right?
Yes.
And it's those, like you said, it's those little smiles, it's those little things
Yes.
that sometimes can be the thing that keep us going, as well. Yeah.
Or finding things that makes you think. Sometimes I get
Yeah.
people talking to me, through my journal. I do mentoring, and my journal has got about 10 topics. And through that, sometimes I get asked many questions. How do you find something? How can you ignite your passion again? How can I do this? It's just, find something which is maybe not related to your business, to your daily life or anything that makes you think. What makes you think? Is it going to the park and just sitting in the park on a bench and be you and don't look at anything else? Just smell the grass, the flowers, hear the kids playing in the playground, or get a book in the garden and read a book. If you don't have a garden, you've got a flat, then go on a balcony. If you don't have a balcony, go somewhere where you can relax. Is it that making you sick? Is it smoking a cigarette? I know I shouldn't say. Is it making you sick? A glass of wine? That's the joy you can have. You start small and then you increase, isn't it? But having a pleasure, not only material pleasure, but also that is in sync with your soul and in sync with your vision, in sync with your business vision. And, you can apply it to anything. There's no limits to what you can apply. When you start doing a first step and get something that makes you think, what is it that really makes me think that I'd love to do and I can't do? How can I do that bit? Only for a few seconds. What is it? Watching a movie that makes me laugh or whatever it is. When we found out, that is always the beginning of that big step that we achieve. That's what I found. That's what I found. Me is the garden. Me. With all my disability, being in the garden, smelling my roses, cutting them, pruning them, cutting the grass, the smell, even if I can't go for a walk because I'm having a bad day with pain or whatever, being in the garden and smelling my rose, that makes me sing. That gives me enough to say, look, I've got a rose. Many people don't even know what a rose smells like because we're too in our own brain. We're too in our own self we don't know how to enjoy ourselves, how to have fun, how to adventure. Yeah. To go for an adventure. So yes, it's a small thing sometimes. It will trigger other things or the next step. So that's my advice.
That's a great
by experience as well. Because being in a lower energy level or being in a place which we don't like, there is always, the other side of the coin. We just have to make it happen. And no one can change you. No one. It's only yourself. So the first step has to come from you. Yeah. Find the support. That's the important thing because the support is important. Find a community that can support you and talking to people. Yeah.
No, that's great advice. And it's great for, I appreciate you sharing part of your story with us today. Thanks very much. And, it is very empowering and inspiring. And, I would encourage other people to definitely reach out and connect with you. And like you said, find the small thing in the day, find something that makes you sing, enjoy it, find support as well if you needed to. But thanks very much, Olive, for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks to everyone for watching, and that's us over and out of the virtual studio. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Welcome again. So we have Duchess Letitia on the show for episode 10. She is one of our presenters and our guests for Mind Over Matter. Now, we're here today to talk about the book that she has fabulously written. It's called Restored. See, there you go. Lovely. So, can you tell us about this book?
Okay, well, this book is a self-help, personal developmental, and it's a course at the same time of the book. So I kind of guide people amongst their own spiritual journey in finding themselves, because at times we can be lost in our own selves, but we can't run from ourselves as much as sometimes in situations maybe abandoning a situation as such has tended to be people's ways. But it's also a means of how to alter the mindset, especially with those who have different disabilities, terminal illnesses, just anything, yeah.
I can see on the synopsis, it's based obviously on your bipolar disorder, ADHD, dyslexia. So you've been through a lot, you know, and does it talk about how you overcame it as well?
Yeah, it talks about in regards to, because strange enough, I tend to remember, and I'm partly conscious during my episodes that I know what's happening, but I'm understanding it from a complete different angle from what another person is seeing of me. Yeah, so.
That's brilliant. And could you tell us about self-acceptance?
Self-acceptance.
Because there's a chapter on here about self-acceptance. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
So, well, some people at times, they may have dislike of you. And depending on how you've experienced life and how you partake and involve and engage with life, it will condition in how you get to start learning about that. And in my experience, in being myself, at times I've experienced, you know, the criticism of people of my doing too much or backstabbing and all of these things. So then it started to bring about a self-hatred of my own self and things. And it's just like, you know what? I enjoy doing these things. I enjoy helping. I enjoy being creative. I enjoy spending time with myself so I can understand myself. When I go through a lot of pain and things like that, sometimes, you know, someone else's energy trying to lurk onto me, and also it's like something else is going on in my life, and it's like for me the different body parts also resonate into different areas and things you're going through. And I believe it's God's way, that how he communicates with us, and so often I'm misunderstood in my ways. But when there's people that have gone of similar paths and experiences, it's like, yeah, I understand, even though not many may be able to understand it. So self-acceptance is accepting everything about yourself. So it is literally, for me, imperfectly perfect.
Okay, and where can we purchase this book?
You can purchase this
on
book.
Amazon.
Yep, it's
Google Books.
Yeah. Waterstone, W.H. Smith.
And how did you get this published?
I published with Pegasus Publishers, so it's also available via Pegasus Publishers.
Oh.
And people are also able to get customised, signed with a message from me.
That's brilliant.
As well.
Yeah. And so, you know, are you planning on writing your next book at all?
Well, I've been working on creating a remedy book, because I'm very much into making perfume and creams for different illnesses and neuropathy and stuff to be helping with insomnia and that. So I've been writing different remedies. I'm still working on that, but with this book, so that I can reach out to more people, I'm also going to be doing the audiobook version of this, and it's still in the works in it to be becoming also a film.
Perfect. So we can find you on social media. You've got your own website.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And is there anything else you would like to share?
Well, to find me online, it is on Instagram, Madame, MADAME _Kapuscinska, which is KAPUSCINSKA89. There's also at Letitia, LETITIA, Antoinette, ANTOINETTE. You can find me on Facebook, Madame Kapuscinska in LA Kingdom, Madame Kapuscinska Truth Speaker, Capture Entertainment, Letitia Antoinette, Boss Mafia, Beyond Praise, to bring joy beyond praise, or just Google as well, go onto the website, www.letitiaantoinette.world, or just Google and, find out. But please, on the music side of things, whichever platform that you do listen to music, I would appreciate if people can also follow, listen to the stuff, connect, engage with me. I want to hear other people's stories as well.
Because mental health is a worldwide topic, But yes, thank you very much. Please do purchase her book. And thank you for coming on the show, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you. Pleasure to be
and
here.
That was all for today for Mind Over Matter episode 10. Please stay tuned for more. Thank you. Goodbye.
Life is a journey.
Here we go.
Let's get started.
Life is good. Here we go.